Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Executive Playbook. I am Mike Cammarata, Certified Financial Planner and Partner at Tie Creek Financial Group.
And I'm Russell Berger, a business and labor and employment attorney at Offit Kurman.
So Russell and I, we started this podcast, if you will, sort of just based on he and I connecting every month and just talking. And wouldn't you know, we were just doing that, catching up personally. And we both are in the same position when it comes to hiring employees. And we said, hey, why don't we just talk about this and let's start recording. So Russell, here we are with no preparation whatsoever.
Yeah, unfiltered.
Unfiltered, truly organic. Well, Russell, do you want to start with your journey this year in hiring, if you will?
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's a couple, high level ways to organize this. I mean, the first question is, how do you recognize that you need help? When does that light bulb go off? I mean, because, for me, I operate largely on a billable hour structure. So, you can see, hey, I'm billing a couple hundred hours more than I should be. So I can measure that. It's objective data. But the hard part is, well, I'm not going to have a whole person's worth of extra work. I'm not going to be billing double what I should be billing because I just run out of time. I can't do that. So I'm going to have, at some point, I'm going to have some projection, some confidence that, well, I'm billing a few hundred extra hours, but I think there's another like 1,200, 1,500 hours sitting out there for someone to do. And how can I be more sophisticated about that than just, man, it feels like there's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So,
Same here. When we had our beginning of year partner meeting, one of the things that we discussed was, we'll probably need to hire another full-time employee, but there was no deadline or expectation or anything as to when. It wasn't until we had some staff meetings at the beginning of the year, and this was right after we had an influx of new client engagements. Our employees came to us and said, guys, if we bring on another new client, we're not going to be able to handle it. And it was like, oh, red flags. Like, okay, this is something that we need to move up on the priority list. And it was really based on our staff's capacity level. And for us, I mean, that's all the initiation we needed. It was, okay, we need to hire. We need to hire right away. And much to your point, Russell, like we didn't really see, okay, we can hire someone and fill their 40 hours a week with all of these different tasks and responsibilities. But what we arrived at was our current staff, they are handling day-to-day administrative tasks that if we were to transfer them to someone else, they could be more effective at what they are really good at. So that was sort of our moment where, oh my gosh, like we need to hire and we need to hire right away.
Yeah. And I think the other thing you can look at too that helps get you there is, your growth trends. So if you're growing and, you're growing month over month, year over year, what have you, you're just gonna need more help.
Right.
And you can kind of look at that as a way to say, well, over the last 6 months, I've consistently grown X% each month. That's probably a good sign that you're going to keep growing that way. I mean, obviously there's a lot of variables and the economy is changing and it's not quite that clean, but you can kind of look at that as a leading indicator as to when you might want to hire someone. And then of course, once you make that decision, you got to hire the right person.
Right. Which I would say brings us to the next, I would say, two topics, or when you're going to hire, is where do you go in order to find that right person? As well as, well, what should be in the job posting itself? Because as we know, with COVID and the pandemic, the hiring process has certainly changed in terms of that onboarding, as well as what people are looking for now when it comes to someone searching for a job. Much like how we get clients, right? The best client typically comes from a referral. Well, we have also found the best employees come from referrals as well. So I believe you have to post on your traditional Indeed websites, LinkedIn, wherever else. It has to be out there, but we have found that the best employees come from a referral, either from an existing employee, from our clients, or from our network of professionals.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's right. Because ultimately, what I think you're looking for, especially depending on the position, like might be somebody you're going to work closely with. So you're going to be around this person a lot. You're going to be in the trenches with them. Um, you know, like I think the interview process is a great time to figure out if you're a match, if you're going to connect, if the person's just going to align with kind of how you operate, and you being you individually or your business. You want to use that opportunity to tell, are we going to be aligned? Is there a synergy here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what I've also found when it comes to posting for a job, less is almost more. So you certainly want to put on the job posting, the overview of what their roles and responsibilities are going to be day to day, as well as, and I don't understand why some organizations do not post a salary range. We do. Like, we want people going into the interview process having an expectation of, well, I know if I'm going to apply for this job and I get accepted, my salary range is going to be between this range. And that expectation is already set. So that way they're not disappointed, if you will, if once you've gone through this very lengthy, time consuming process, that the salary doesn't meet their expectations or vice versa. So we make that clear that this is going to be the range.
Yeah, well, and to add to that, I mean, there are now laws in many jurisdictions that, if not, I think there's a very few number of jurisdictions that will require salary ranges to be posted. But there's a growing number of jurisdictions that will require you to answer that question if a candidate asks, and to be able to provide that information. There's a number of reasons. Yours is the employer focused reason for that. I was, well, I don't want to waste my time with someone that doesn't, isn't going to be a fit, or isn't going to be happy with what our range is for this position. Whereas the law doesn't, no law is ever written to protect the employers. So that's not why the laws are on the books. It's to protect the employees. But yeah, I mean, I think that you're right. There's good reason to get that out on the table. If now obviously there might be positions where this range is so huge, depends on experience. I'm not entirely sure, or they're going to hire the junior person or the senior person, and that may make it hard to be precise about that. But yeah, I mean, if you can, why not? Being clear and direct and transparent with employees or prospective employees, I think is generally a worthwhile approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say clients talk, when we're working with a client, clients certainly talk to other people about the experience they've had in working with our firm. Well, a hiring candidate will also talk about their experience, their interview process with other people as well. So when it comes to hiring, you want to make sure that your reputation is still in good standing. So we feel like it's best to be clear, to set expectations in a clear way. And that way, nobody's time is wasted and no one's disappointed.
Yeah, that's a good way to manage, set up the management relationship too.
Absolutely. Well, Russell, always a pleasure catching up. I think it's a good and relevant topic that
Yep,
we discussed
likewise.
today.
Thanks, Mike.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. See you next time.